Formula E is back this weekend and we return to Hong Kong. Sorry Formula 1 fans, we're going to have to put that hype train on hold because the Formula E train is back in town. What happened last time? What went down last time in Mexico? Another brilliant race this season, and so far I was a little bit nervous after the first race whether we'd see a really classic Formula E season, and woo, we have seen one of the best Formula E seasons ever. Every single race this year so far has been won by not only a different driver, but a different team every single time. 9 drivers have stepped on the podium, and that's out of a total of 12 podium places there has been so far. And the team everyone considered to be the best on the grid hasn't even won a race yet, hasn't stepped on the podium since the first race of the season. So it's really heating up this weekend in Hong Kong, and it's the time of season where we're about halfway now. Teams and drivers, if they really want to do a championship challenge, are going to have to start bringing it all together now. No more rookie mistakes. They've had time to embed themselves with these Gen 2 cars. The new drivers have had chance to gain a little bit of experience, and now they're going to have to start fighting for the championship. Last year, this circuit, completely different standards, completely different circumstances. Gen 1 car, also this was the opening round of the championship, and it was a double header, so we had round 1 and round 2 over one weekend. The first race was won by Sam Bird rather convincingly, had a drive-through penalty, still won the race. A brilliant job from Bird last year. And then in the second race, Daniel Abt actually won his first ever race win at the time, but was disqualified very stupidly. It was due to one of the parts on his car wasn't named correctly. Yeah, bizarre incident at the time, but the race win eventually went to Felix Rosenqvist after the whole order had shuffled about. He's obviously not in Formula E this year, but he was driving in the Mahindra car. Someone who's really been on form at the moment is Pascal Wehrlein, and this brings us on nicely to what went down last time in Mexico City. The man of the moment, the man of the day, was Pascal Wehrlein. His first pole position in Formula E, led every single lap except the one that counted. The very last lap, the very last corner, he was overtaken by Lucas di Grassi. Yes, there was a penalty incident, a penalty infringement that me, Jack and Toby went through on the Formula E Zone podcast. So I recommend you go and check that out if you've got a spare half an hour or so. A crazy race that was determined by, number 1, a crazy mega crash in the early doors. Nelson Piquet Jr. and Jean-Eric Vergne tangling late into the lap. Piquet out on the spot. Like I say, mega crash. First red flag of the season. Ultimately, that really messed with people's calculations in terms of energy usage. Something that Nissan completely bottled. I wrote my first ever feature article over on Formula E Zone about this, so just plug in that one there. If you can go and check that out, I will put that in the description. But they really did bottle that one. The first chance for them of their first ever podium in a car which actually, under the radar, is looking really good this year. So, Nissan bottled the podium for both Roland and Sebastian Buemi. Ollie Roland as well, really putting his mark on the Formula E map in this particular weekend. But the big thing for me, which prevailed over everything last time out in Mexico, was experience. We saw guys like Felipe Massa qualify as high as 3rd place. The 2 Nissan boys really high up on the grid. Wehrlein pole position, and where were any of those guys come the checkered flag? Barely in the points. We saw Sam Bird, Jerome D'Ambrosio, Robin Frange come all the way from the back into the points. D'Ambrosio even got a 4th place, crazily enough. He was nowhere the entire race. Eduardo Mortara in the Venturi got on the podium, someone who I'd been highly critical of going into the season. Chuffed to see him up there. Da Costa, his experience in Formula E really proving, eventually getting a P2 after damage throughout the race. He was my driver of the day, but someone else who ended up winning the race, Lucas di Grassi. My God, another brilliant drive from this man. Really is the king of Mexico in Formula E, proving that Audi, a slow start to the season, similar to last season, they can do it. And they are right back in this championship fight, and it is still anyone's game. And on that subject, looking forward to this weekend, who has to prove themselves to be in this fight? Who still hasn't showed their true colours? That guy on screen there, on the left that is, not on the right, now it's gone now, Jean-Eric Vergne it was. He is the man, I think, who's really underperformed this season. Everyone, after the first race, I mean, you'd be daft not to have thought that after the first race. Everyone thought he was going to win the championship. Not only that, they thought he was going to win it by a country mile. He hasn't won a race yet this season. Techeetah hasn't won a race yet this season. And yet, everyone still believes they're the best car. Are they the best car? Well, personally, I think out of the 4 races we've seen so far, it's anyone's game. You can show up to any race and anyone could win it. Maybe that's a bit extreme, but I think 5 or 6 different teams could really give it a run for their money. 6 of the teams already have had podiums this season. That's not a bad number. But as I mentioned earlier, people are really going to have to start racking up points. And Vergne now isn't in Group 1, or what is known as Group 1, for the qualifying anymore. He's really going to have to think to himself, if I want to become the greatest Formula E driver of all time, I'm saying in quotation marks, because no one has won 2 world championships before. Vergne could do it this year. He's got the car capable of doing it, but so many things just haven't gone their way. Round 1 in Saudi Arabia, drive-through penalties. Round 2, Vergne made a crazy move into turn 1, bottled his chances instantly. Round 3, multiple incidents in round 3, multiple contact. The team even complaining about the qualifying system, which at the time you could sort of understand their point of view, but that really hurt them in Santiago. And then, last time out, they just seemed nowhere. It was the first real chance where Techeetah didn't quite look on the pace. Generally, historically, Mexico hasn't been Techeetah's track. So I don't want to use Mexico as a prime example because every other race they seem to have had a car capable of winning. So, Vergne fans, Techeetah fans, don't worry. Calm down, boys and girls. They are going to win this year. I'm very confident of that. And Andre Lotterer, someone who, coming into this year, I thought could do a really good job. He's also underperformed massively this year. So, both of them need a good result. Am I expecting it to happen this weekend? My favourite bit of the preview show is predictions. Let me know yours in the comments below. Who's going to be on pole position? Who is going to be our podium? And as always, I will show you my podium results. And in Hong Kong, I have not gone for a Techeetah win. I have gone for a win for Mahindra Pascal Wehrlein. Another one who, yes, he's only really taken part in 2 races. Everyone else has taken part in 4. But I think he's got the talent and the speed to be able to fight in this championship. But he's got to get some points now. He could have been leading the championship at the end of the last race if that last lap hadn't have taken place. But I think he's got to get a result. I think he's quick. I think he's definitely got the car and he's quick. Did I mention that? He really is one of the best drivers on the grid. Next to him I've put Buemi, a car which really is underappreciated, I would say. I really do think Nissan have built a really solid car there. Roland and Buemi have got unlucky not only last time out, but also in Santiago. They should have won there. They need to get their first podium. That's the next target. They don't need to go too crazy. Just take a podium, slowly build up results. Because currently in the Constructors, they should be near the top. They're actually near the bottom. And Vergne, he's got to get a podium. He really does. He's got to be in that fight this weekend. It's a track that I think should suit the Techeetah car quite well, so I'm expecting them to score well this weekend. But I've put Wehrlein as your winner, but I'd love to know that, well, who you think's going to be on the podium this weekend, because 50th race in Formula E history. That's the 50th race for the likes of Virgin, Mahindra, Audi. The 50th race for De Grassi and Audi together. The 50th race for Bird and Virgin together. There's so many stories that are going to be building up to this Hong Kong E-Prix. But I really think it's the time of year now. People are going to have to get this together. And they're going to have to do it quick because time is running out. Thank you guys for watching. Just a heads up, funny times this race. over here in the UK, GMT time, 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, not on Saturday. In Hong Kong it will be Saturday, but time zones, that is a thing. It's going to be very early on in the morning on Sunday. It's going to be on BBC Two live, so none of that red button nonsense. Free-to-air TV on the BBC. I would recommend 8 o'clock race start. I believe it's 5:30 qualifying, so a little bit early. Obviously, I'll be watching it, but still a little bit early. It will be free to view on YouTube as well in some regions, but make sure you check that before you go and view it. Thank you for watching. Links in the description will be down to everything I spoke about today. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.